Okay, so if you're in the UK on a visa right now, you've probably been hearing all the chatter and maybe feeling a bit of anxiety. The government has put some huge changes on the table for the path to permanent residency, or indefinite leave to remain. So in this explainer, we're going to break it all down. What's being proposed, who it might affect, and what the next steps are, just to give you some real clarity.
Right, let's get straight to the single biggest question on everyone's mind. Is that standard 5-year route to settlement going away? Well, the short answer is yeah. The government has officially proposed a major shakeup. They want to move away from what they see as a kind of automatic process after 5 years.
And here it is, the heart of the change. The new default, the standard path to get indefinite leave to remain, ILR, is set to double, from 5 years of living here to 10. This isn't just a tweak, it's a fundamental shift in how the UK is approaching settlement. To help make sense of all this, we've broken it down into 5 key parts. We'll start with the new idea behind all of this, then we'll look at how you might actually speed up that 10-year wait, what could make it even longer, who this all applies to, and finally, what actually happens next.
So first up, let's get into the thinking here. This isn't just about changing a number. It's part of a whole new philosophy the government is calling the earned settlement model. The basic idea is to shift away from a system that's pretty much just based on how long you've been in the country.
And this quote from the Home Secretary, it really captures the new mindset perfectly. Settlement is being framed not as something you can just expect after a certain time, but as a privilege that you have to actively earn through your actions and contributions.
So how do you earn it? Well, the whole proposal is built on these 4 pillars. Your character, having a clean criminal record. Your contribution, things like paying your taxes and national insurance. Your integration into British society, shown by things like your English skills, and of course your residence, the actual time you've spent here. All of these things will supposedly be looked at on your path to settlement.
Okay, so while 10 years is the new baseline, it's not the whole story. The proposal also lays out ways you can, in theory, climb that ladder to settlement a bit quicker. The whole system is designed to reward people who are seen to be making specific, valued contributions to the UK.
And this is where it gets really interesting. Making certain contributions could slice years off that 10-year wait. For instance, if you're a top-rate taxpayer, you could potentially get ILR in just 3 years. If you're a public service worker, a doctor, a teacher, or paying the higher weight of tax, you could qualify in 5 years. Even volunteering could get you there in 5 to 7 years, and showing you have a really high level of English could shave a whole year off.
Now, it's also really important to point out that this new 10-year rule isn't meant for absolutely everyone. If you're on a specialized visa that already has its own fast track to settlement, like the Global Talent or Innovator visas, the plan is for those routes to stay exactly as they are.
All right, now for the other side of the coin. Just like you can earn a shorter path, this new model also brings in penalties. Think of them as broken rungs on that ladder to settlement, things that could add a significant amount of time to your wait.
So here are the big ones to watch out for. Using public funds like benefits, even for a little while, could add years to your path. Overstaying your visa, having a criminal record, or even just having gaps in your national insurance payments. All of these things are considered actions that would push back your eligibility for settlement.
And these penalties can be really severe. For a major breach, like overstaying your visa, the government is proposing that the timeline to even be considered for settlement could be pushed all the way back to 20 years, maybe even longer. It really shows how much emphasis is being put on following the immigration rules to the letter.
Okay, now for what is probably the most critical question for you watching. Who do these new rules actually apply to? The scope is pretty wide, but there are also some very specific groups who are exempt.
This statement from the Home Secretary makes the government's intention pretty clear. They want these new rules to apply to pretty much everyone who's already in the UK on a visa but hasn't gotten ILR yet. This means it might not just be for new arrivals, though the exact details are still being worked out.
This gives you a snapshot of some of the biggest visa categories that would be moved to this new 10-year path. We're talking about folks on skilled worker visas, the health and care route, people on the graduate visa, and even refugees, who right now have a 5-year path to settlement.
But, and this is a really big but, there is some good news for certain groups. The government has been very clear that several routes will be exempt and will stay on a 5-year path. This includes partners of British citizens, people on the Hong Kong BNO route, those with EU settled status, victims of domestic abuse, and people under the Windrush scheme.
So with all of this information flying around, what's the actual status of these changes? This is so important to understand.
None of this is law yet. We are still firmly in the proposal stage, and there's a whole process that has to play out before anything changes.
You see, this all started with the government publishing something called a white paper. The easiest way to think of it is like a first draft. It's a formal document that lays out the government's plans, but, and this is the key part, the plans in a white paper can, and often do, change before they become law.
This timeline gives us a rough roadmap. The detailed proposals were published on November 20th, 2025. That started the clock on a 12-week public consultation period. That's a window where anyone can give their feedback. Only after all that feedback is looked at will the government move forward with a final law, which could maybe be implemented sometime in the middle of 2026.
So what can you actually do right now? Well, here are 4 concrete steps. 1. Stay informed but stick to official sources like gov.uk to avoid rumors. 2. If you're getting close to being eligible for ILR under the current 5-year rule, it might be a good idea to apply as soon as you can. 3. Start getting your documents ready for things that could help you under the new system, like proof of volunteering or studying for a higher-level English test. And 4. Think about making your voice heard by taking part in that public consultation.
Ultimately, all of these proposals boil down to one huge question. Is this a fairer system that truly rewards contribution and integration, like the government claims? Or is it just a massive new hurdle for people who came to the UK expecting a clear 5-year path to making this country their permanent home? The debate over that is really just getting started.